Hello everyone, my name is Petteri Kivimäki and I'm the CTO of Nordic Institute for Interoperability Solutions, NIIS for short. Today I'm going to tell you a little bit about NIIS and X-Road, which is our main product. But let's start with the Nordic Institute for Interoperability Solutions. So NIIS is a non-profit association which mission is to develop digital government solutions to its members. Currently, all in all, we have 8 members and we have 3 different membership levels, but a little bit more about the levels later. So today we have 8 members, but when NIIS was established in 2017, initially we had 2 members, and NIIS was established by the governments of Estonia and Finland. And over the years, we've got more members, more like slowly and steadily, rather like getting a big peak at once. But then, why NIIS was originally established and what's kind of the, behind the main mission and what makes NIIS a little bit special. So first of all, NIIS is a non-profit association originally established by 2 governments. And originally, the aim was to collaborate in the field of interoperability and data exchange, and always to save resources by joint development of digital government solutions. And on a more practical level, everything got started around our main product, X-Road. So X-Road is an open source solution for secure data exchange. I will tell more about X-Road later. It was originally developed in Estonia already 25 years ago, and then in 2013, 2014, also Finland started to implement it. And originally, the idea in Finland was to just implement it as an off-the-shelf product. No development, just install it, configure it, and so on. However, things didn't go quite as planned, and some additional development was needed. And by the way, back then, X-Road wasn't an open source solution yet. So it led to a situation where both Estonia and Finland were developing the X-Road software together. And of course, in that kind of a situation, there is a risk that if you don't coordinate the development activities in any ways, then there is a really big risk that the 2 versions, they become non-interoperable with each other, and actually you have two separate forks. And this situation was something that Finland and Estonia wanted to avoid from the beginning. And because of that, some coordination of the development activities was required, and it was done by the public authorities who were responsible of the X-Road deployments in Estonia and Finland, the digital agencies of both countries. During those years, basically, X-Road was developed together by Estonia and Finland, but both countries, they had their own development resources, own management model, source code repositories, backlogs, development teams, everything. Everything was basically duplicated, which wasn't very effective indeed. And also it created some challenges to the development as self, because both countries, they had their own release cycle, and the way how the source code was managed and synchronized. It wasn't like true open source development in a one shared open source repository, but both had their private repositories that were synchronized regularly, and then also regularly, starting from a certain point, the code was published. But yeah, not like real open source development. So quite many challenges, but still they made it work in a sense that no two different forks of X-Road were born. But still, during that time, the idea was born that, hey, probably it would be possible to do this thing a little bit more efficiently. And since Estonia and Finland, they are neighboring countries, both are digitally quite advanced. In the future, there might be other opportunities for collaboration as well. So instead of doing this thing separately, why not consider establishing a joint organization that could take over the development activities and make everything more efficient? And that's kind of the idea, original idea behind NIIS and why NIIS was established in 2017. And then NIIS, well, it was established officially in 2017. It became operational in 2018. By the way, I joined NIIS in 2018, so I've been with them since then, over 8 years already. And then in 2018, NIIS took over all the development responsibilities from Estonian and Finnish digital agencies and started to make the development work for them and, of course, in collaboration with them. And today, besides X-Road, which is our main product, we also have another open source product, Harmony e-delivery access. They are both products for secure data exchange between organizations, with the difference that X-Road is mainly used for national level data exchange, while Harmony e-delivery access is for data exchange, cross-border data exchange between the EU member states. So when it comes to NIIS responsibilities regarding these products, you can consider NIIS basically as the software vendor of these products. But they are open source, so we are not actually selling anything. But if you consider the responsibilities, we are managing, developing, verifying, and auditing the source code. We are managing the documentation. We are managing the requirements, handling the backlog, and conducting development. And our operational model works so that our goal is to keep our own organization very small and agile. Currently, we are just 7 people working directly for NIIS, and then we use outsourced partners when it comes to the development activity. So currently, we have 8 developers working in our development team, and they are all external consultants. So we basically do public procurements regularly, and in that way choose the companies who are collaborating with us. And then, of course, besides the development and management activities, we also do all kinds of international collaboration. However, one thing that we do not do is operate the software that we develop. So we only develop the software, and then the users of the software, they are responsible for deploying it, configuring it, operating it, and so on. So we are concentrating only on the development. From that perspective, the responsibilities, they are kind of clear, but of course that kind of share of responsibilities, it also creates some challenges. For example, we are not very well aware of who are using our software because it's open source, it can be used free of charge without registration, but this is the challenge of all the open source software, more or less. It would be nice to find some common solution to it. But then when it comes to the NIIS governance model, this is how it looks like. So general meeting is the highest decision-making body of NIIS. So earlier I mentioned that we have 3 membership levels. We have strategic members, contributing members, and then associate members. So the strategic members, they are allowed to participate in the decision-making on the NIIS level. So the strategic members, they have representatives in the general meeting, and the general meeting has full decision-making power regarding everything related to NIIS. So, for example, they define and approve our strategy that defines that we as an organization are doing. Then there is the advisory group. That's kind of relaying information between the general meeting and the management board. Advisory group doesn't have any decision-making power. It's more like a supportive entity. But then that was the NIIS operational model or management model. But then we, of course, have a separate management model for our products. So for every product, we have a steering committee, and for most of the products, we also have a technical committee. And the strategic members, they are allowed to participate in product steering committees and technical committees, and then also contributing members, they are allowed to participate in these committees as well. And when it comes to decision-making, so the product steering committee, it approves the product strategy and budget, meaning that the strategic members and contributing members, they are allowed to participate in the decision making on the product level. Then the technical committee, instead, they prioritize product backlog and they approve technical decisions. And associate members, they are allowed to participate in the technical committee, but only in a listener role. So when it comes to decision making, either on the product strategy level or on the technical level, it's limited to strategic members and contributing members, and associate members, they are allowed to participate and listen, and of course participate to discussions and so on, but when it comes to decision making, they have no decision making rights. And just to give a clearer picture regarding the responsibilities of these different committees, steering committee and technical committee. So for example, if there is a whole new feature that is needed for X-Road that requires development work, budget and so on, it must be approved by the steering committee first. Then we start working on the implementation, and then later during the implementation we need to make decisions regarding technical details, how some specific detail of the feature will be implemented. Then we discuss those details with the technical committee and they approve our changes. So that's how it goes. And in general, I have to say that over the years, well, now we've been doing this for 8 years, and we have 3 members who are allowed to participate in decision-making on the product level. When there are decisions, we vote, and as so far, everything has worked really, really well. So even if you could imagine that, well, even with 3 organizations, it's easy to find yourself in a situation where they absolutely do not agree with something. Fortunately, we haven't been in such a situation yet. So even if maybe not always there isn't full alignment between the members, but kind of the spirit is very good, and different members are ready to listen the needs of the others and be flexible, and then it works, might work the other way around next time. So overall, this model has worked for us really, really well. But then, besides product development, we also have other strategic focus areas. Continuous services and support is a pretty new one. We are currently working on it. So we are going to provide support, custom development, and maybe also hosting services to our members. So the idea is that these continuous services and support, we are not providing them just to anyone who is asking them, but specifically to our members. Try to provide additional benefits to our members for more bang for their buck, as to say. Then we are also actively doing research projects. We usually work so that we collaborate with external research organizations and universities. For example, last year we had a research project about post-quantum encryption and secure processing environments. This year we are going to look into the role of AI agents in data spaces. And in general, we do a couple of research projects in a year. Then we are also pretty active in international cooperation. So NIIS is a member of several international associations, for example, Gaia-X, the International Data Spaces Association, and of course the Eclipse Foundation. So yeah, a pretty important area of what we are doing. And then, of course, we are also doing organizational development all the time, and sustainability is also a very important value to us. In general, we try to develop NIIS as an organization all the time, and definitely this is not a closed club. We are actively looking for new member organizations and also new products. So if an organization is interested in joining NIIS, they maybe have a new product that they would like to bring with them. That's also possible. So we can expand both our members range and also our product selection. But then a little bit more about X-Road. So, like mentioned, it's an open source product licensed under the MIT open source license. So it's a decentralized solution for secure data exchange between organizations. It's one of the most deployed digital public infrastructure components worldwide, and it's also a digital public good verified by the Digital Public Good Alliance. And it was originally developed already in 2001 in Estonia, so it's definitely not a new solution. But in order for it to get more popular globally, it took several years, and one reason for that is without a doubt that it wasn't open sourced until 2015. So until then it was a closed source solution, and after that it's been available under the MIT license, and yeah, that's kind of when it really started to take off. And today there are at least 29 countries using X-Road worldwide, and there are almost 600 million people living in the countries, which means almost 600 million potential end users. In the X-Road community, we have almost 170 countries and over 5,000 members. So you can really say that X-Road is truly a global solution today. And here you can see on the world map the countries where X-Road is currently being used. as you can see, it has a very wide user base in Latin America, and it's still growing. Also, Africa is growing pretty rapidly, and the good news is that we are also seeing a lot of interest in Europe lately. This diagram illustrates an X-Road ecosystem and what kind of member organizations it typically has. So one interesting difference between X-Road and many other data exchange solutions is that typically data exchange ecosystems, they are built around some specific business domain, for example, finance, healthcare, transportation, or so on. But with X-Road, things usually work a little bit differently. The most typical deployment model for X-Road is a national deployment, meaning that a country uses X-Road to deploy a national data exchange infrastructure that is available to all kinds of different organizations. So typically, the national ecosystem, it's owned and led by the public sector, but it's still open for all kinds of organizations to join and exchange data. And that's the case also, for example, in Estonia and in Finland. And this diagram, the organizations, types of organizations that you can see in this diagram, they are taken from the real Estonian ecosystem. So in the Estonian X-Road ecosystem, all these different types of organizations exist together and exchange data with each other. And one more thing to mention that kind of enables this kind of approach is that X-Road is fully data type and semantic agnostic. So you can exchange any kind of data with X-Road. X-Road guarantees the security of the data exchange, but it doesn't care what kind of data you exchange. It can be JSON, XML, binary, encrypted, non-encrypted, whatever. So the best way to understand how X-Road works is to compare it to traditional point-to-point integrations. So when you use point-to-point integrations, all the details of the data exchange, they need to be agreed separately for every connection. And well, it may work actually pretty well if you have only few information systems and not too many connections between them. But as soon as the number of information systems and connections starts to grow, it can become quite challenging. And also, if you want to enforce some specific policies, like security policies, for example, then yeah, it might be a little bit different with point-to-point integrations. X-Road resolves this approach by using the four-corner model, which idea is that information systems are not connected directly, but instead through unified access points, and all the data exchange takes place through them. In the X-Road architecture, the access points are called security servers, and like you can see in this diagram, every organization has its own security server. They connect their information systems to it, and then all the data exchange happens through the security servers that guarantee that it's secure, unified, and also traceable. This diagram, of course, is a simplification. In a real X-Road ecosystem, you have a lot more organizations, and the setup is usually a lot more complex, meaning that organizations, they can have more than one security server or security server cluster, or alternatively, multiple organizations can share the same security server, which is a common approach for small organizations. So in general, X-Road is based on a decentralized architecture, but with centralized management. And in practice, it means that all the data exchange takes always place directly between the service consumer and service provider. There's no third parties, no message brokers or anything between the service consumer and service provider. No one else can see what kind of data they are exchanging. However, there are some central components. The central server is a key component in the X-Road architecture. It's kind of the member registry or phone book of the ecosystem. When new organizations join, they are registered to the central server, so the member organization and their security server, they are both registered there. And then the central server is publishing the member registry, making it available for the security servers to see who are the members of the ecosystem. So when data is being exchanged, that information is used to verify the counterparty of the data exchange. And the verification process works so that it doesn't require the central server to be available 24/7. So in practice, the ecosystem can be configured so that the central server can be unavailable even for days without it affecting the data exchange. So usually the first counter argument regarding this architecture is that, hey, the central server is a single point of failure. Well, yes, in theory it is, but in practice it can be configured so that it's really not. One key feature of X-Road is federation, which means connecting two X-Road ecosystems to one another. And once the ecosystems have been connected, then the member organizations can exchange data with each other as if they were members of the same X-Road ecosystem. And setting up the federation is technically very easy, requires uploading a couple of configuration files, takes like 10-15 minutes if you know what you're doing. So technically, quite straightforward, but then there is also an administrative side of things. So you need to have a federation agreement between the two ecosystems and their operators. And of course, a data exchange agreement between the member organizations. And often these administrative processes, they may take a lot longer time compared to the technical stuff. Well, another interesting piece of information is that X-Road is an enabler for the once-only principle. So the once-only principle means basically that citizens and organizations, they should only provide their information to the public sector once. And then if multiple public authorities need access to the same information, instead of asking it again, they should share it with each other. So X-Road is a technical enabler for that, and it's used for those purposes on a national level. But then there is also the EU level once-only technical system that's meant for exchanging evidence, so basically different types of documents between the EU member states. And the EU once-only technical system, it's based on a different technology. It's not using X-Road, it's using e-delivery for data exchange. And one question that we often hear is that, hey, is it a problem if on a national level we are using X-Road, but then we need to connect to the EU once-only technical system that uses e-delivery? Is it a problem? Can it be done? So the good news is that it can definitely be done. Estonia and Finland, they are already doing it. They have implemented kind of a, well, you could call it a connector or an adapter that sits between the national X-Road ecosystem and the once-only technical system. And in practice, it means that it's possible to use the same interfaces and integrations that are already used on a national level. You can use them also on the EU level, so you don't need to build separate interfaces, separate integrations for them. So yeah, and in this diagram, the adapter or gateway, it would basically be this OOTS component. And this is on a high level, this is how it works. And both Estonia and Finland are already doing it. So it definitely can be done. And in addition to the X-Road community that I mentioned earlier, so we also have X-Road technology partners that are companies that provide X-Road related support and services. So of course NIIS provides online resources. For example, we have free online training platform X-Road Academy, where you can find free online trainings. We have documentations. Then there is the X-Road community where you can look for help. But in case if you need more, let's say, help on a wider scale, consultation services, hosting, help with X-Road deployment, then there are several companies that provide those services. And not only in Europe, but also in other parts of the world. And the number is increasing all the time. Then next, a couple of words about the future, about the X-Road 8 spaceship. We are currently implementing some pretty big changes in X-Road. Today, X-Road provides interoperability between two X-Road ecosystems and within one X-Road ecosystem, but it's a challenge if you need to exchange data with data exchange ecosystems that use other technologies. And we can see that the need for organizations to exchange data and be member of different ecosystems is increasing all the time, and therefore we want to make X-Road more interoperable with other data exchange ecosystems as well. And the path that we have chosen to make it happen is to transform X-Road into a data space technology. So basically, we are going to replace X-Road's current custom protocol stack with the standard data space protocol stack, which enables X-Road to be interoperable with other data exchange ecosystems and data spaces that use the same set of standards and specifications. So the high-level vision for X-Road 8 is to transform X-Road into a data space solution. But of course, since X-Road already has a lot of legacy in a good sense behind it, we want to keep all the good that it already has and only get rid of the bad and the ugly. So we want to keep the proven ecosystem model and security, and then improve the interoperability by implementing the data space protocol stack. Of course, a big challenge in that is backwards compatibility, because we need to take the existing users into account, can't start everything from scratch. And in our case, the data space protocol stack in practice means implementing support for the data space protocol and decentralized claims protocol. So the data space protocol stack can be divided roughly into 3 layers: trust plane, control plane, and data plane. And the idea is that the trust plane and control plane, they are standardized. Different data spaces should use the same specifications and standards on those layers, and then the data plane level, where the actual data exchange takes place, it's more like data space specific. So this is on a high level how it looks like. And when it comes to the timeline, X-Road 8 is scheduled to be released by the end of this year. So happening pretty soon. Then I also wanted to say a few words about the Eclipse data space working group. So NIIS is a strategic member of the working group, and since we are using the data space standards and specifications, instead of just using them and following them, we felt that it's really important to be involved in their development. So the data space protocol, decentralized claims protocol, and data plane signaling protocol, they are all under the purview of the Eclipse data space working group, and that's why it's important for us to be involved. And then we also utilize existing open source components in the implementation. We don't want to implement the protocols by ourselves, and one of the key components is the Eclipse data space components, EDC. So yeah, we feel that it's important to be involved in the group because it's working with the EDC and the specifications that play a key role when it comes to the X-Road's future. And then finally, some lessons learned, well, regarding NIIS and also regarding X-Road. So first, ensure strong political support and long-term alignment. This is valid for both NIIS as an organization and also for X-Road as a software product, or actually for any digital service that you want to implement nationally. So without political support, it's really different to get forward and get long-term support for your initiative. Then engage the right stakeholders at the right time. Well, sounds kind of obvious, but what I mean by this is that you saw that we have many different kind of groups and committees: general meeting, advisory group, product steering committee, product technical committee. So it's really important that we get the right people in those groups, so people who are interested in the specific topic and also who have the power to make decisions regarding those things in their own countries and organizations. Because otherwise things don't move, we are not able to make the decisions that we need. So it may sound obvious, but in real life it can actually be quite challenging. But then, in the best case, when you get the right people, then things should move and work pretty nicely. Then adopt fit-for-purpose operational models. Well, this also sounds kind of obvious. And what I mean by this is that, well, once again, these different working groups and committees, well, you can organize them in many different ways. And for example, NIIS is a member of many international associations that have working groups, and they all have a little bit different kind of ways of working. For example, in some cases, the participants of the groups, they need to kind of facilitate, well, not facilitate, but provide their time and availability to work on different things that are in the group's agenda. Or alternatively, the organization who's facilitating the groups may do the actual work and then present the results, and the participants, they can only vote and kind of steer the group. So I don't know, in my opinion there probably isn't one right way to do it, but you should always consider what's a kind of the best approach for your particular case. Then prioritize active engagement over community size. I mentioned that NIIS has over 5,000 community members, but the amount of committers for X-Road from the community, it can be counted in tens, not hundreds or in thousands. Meaning that it's a challenge to get active contributions, and if you happen to find community members that are interested in the project, want to be active, yeah, it's really good to support them and facilitate that kind of activities. I'm a software engineer, and for me, well, resolving technical issues, technical issues, they can always be resolved in one way or another. But quite often in this kind of context, where NIIS operates, we also have non-technical issues like administrative or legal topics. So resolving them, it's better to reserve time for them. Usually it's a little bit slower. And yeah, then last but not least, keep legislation and policies technology neutral. I have one very good example about this, what you shouldn't do. So in several NIIS member countries, there are national laws that are about using X-Road at the national level. Those laws include names of X-Road components, and now as a part of making X-Road a data space technology, we want to change the names of the components. And yeah, since the names are included in the laws of some of the member countries, we need to figure out, hey, can we do it? Do the laws also need to be changed, and how does that work? So better to keep them technology neutral. But yeah, that's all that I wanted to share with you today. Thanks for listening. Yeah, please go ahead.
Wait. I have the mic. Sorry.
So as far as data transfer is concerned, that makes complete sense. It looks really tight. But what I'm wondering about is there any point in which you do a data validation check before it goes from one party to another, as far as if that data's been compromised or if there's a risk involved? Is that inside your scope or outside your scope?
Yep, so verifying the identity of the data exchange parties, that's in scope, and also guaranteeing the integrity of the data exchange, that's also in scope. So basically, all the messages sent over X-Road, they are digitally signed, timestamped, and logged, so you can always be sure that the message wasn't tampered with, and you can authenticate the sender.
And also if it would come from a separate data space outside of your ecosystem, as you were mentioning, that's being integrated now. Yeah. Same story.
Well, then things get more complicated because, yeah, like I showed in this picture, basically, when it comes to X-Road, those signing, timestamping, and logging, it's implemented on this data plane level, which is always data space specific. So when X-Road is exchanging data, when you use X-Road to exchange data with some other data space, it really depends on the data plane, the implementation that is used. If X-Road's implementation is used, then yes, those guarantees, they are there, but then if there is a different data plane implementation, then it might be that they do not apply.
Yeah, and that's the risk of the user then, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.